Galactic Jedis, Patriots, Freedom Fighters, Light Warriors, and all of the forces of light. How is everyone doing? I have to address everyone now, not just the people watching my live here in the physical 3D reality, but also all of our invincible helpers, our guides, our angels, and then, of course, Prime Creator Source that is always watching. So I am your host, Ishmael Perez, author of The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin. These works explore the veiled truths and complex interconnection behind our world's hidden rulers and, of course, our true cosmic beginnings. None of the Darwinian stuff or the, dogmatic fundamentalist religious explanation, but the truth about our celestial origins as made in the image of the one infinite creator. I hope you guys are having a beautiful day today on the 8th of May. On this day, on the 8th of May in the year 1945, Great Britain and the United States and other allied countries celebrate Victory in Europe Day. Cities in the US, UK, and Western Europe, along with the Soviet Union, Canada, Australia, put out flags and banners rejoicing in the defeat of the Nazi war machine during the World War II episode. But for those that are awakened, we all know, and for those that have read my book, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, we do know that the First and the Second World War were no other than modern-day inquisitions conducted by no other than the Jesuit general himself, the Black Pope, who, by the way, has been taken out. In either case, if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to share this video since I am competing with my pirated channels. Now, before I bring my guest tonight, I wanted to share another fun fact about myself. I love the ocean. I love rivers, I love lakes, I love water in general. I love looking at it, especially when it's clear and blue. I love swimming in it, of course, if there's no sharks around. But even if there was, I can just telepathically communicate with those sharks to let them know that I mean no harm and that I will not be tasting very good. And I love living next to it. I do live about 2 blocks from the ocean here in California. So overall, guys, I just love water. I love water. Now, I also wanted to remind you all that I did open up a new course. I made it more affordable. It's a 4-part course that starts the 11th, which is this coming Saturday. These sessions are designed for a deep dive into the true cosmic and galactic heritage of humanity, the galactic and cosmic history, breaking down the 15-dimensional time matrix while exploring our multidimensional nature and the different types of advanced space-age civilization from a type 1 all the way to a type 6, but in detail. Now, I have been and I will continue to release exclusive content that reveals the research behind my latest work, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects. Since that book does have references, I will continue to release certain books that are used as a reference in unveiling the truth behind these invisible architects that have been operating through secret societies. Now, I also wanted to extend gratitude and appreciation to you guys for being here and tuning in, for tonight is an Arcturian by the name of ARCTURUS RA, who is awakened to his purpose, and he's going to be sharing his personal activation and remembrance of being an Arcturian scientist and a Starfleet commander. So he discloses the stepping into his mission to help this planet restore its original consciousness. He also shares his knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, how to biohack yourself into seeing other dimensions where we could all go at night when we are asleep, and much more fascinating information about his ET heritage. Since he was a toddler, Ra had paranormal experiences with the so-called other side. He strongly feels that he is a walk-in because he remembers his consciousness being switched on at the age of 3. Growing up in a world out of balance seems strange for him, where logic was worshipped and intuition was avoided. I can relate to that, brother. Observing a world where people have to hide their feelings and who they truly are had him develop an explorative and scientific mind. So from the age of 11, he has studied the mysteries of the universe, UFOs, the Yeti, Loch Ness, fairy folk, ghosts, and how to expand consciousness. Ra, as an experiencer, had a Sani, Sani walking with him, having taken to multiple times. With a strong, for those who don't know what a Sani is, I'll let him explain. But with a strong connection to Sirius, he knows his cosmic family is from the Arcturian northern hemisphere, from the Butes constellation. To this day, he has many encounters with positive ETs, beings from these other places, receiving downloads from them and turning those into technology. The drive to figure out how things work felt like obsession. How do we solve riddles in cases or track ancient civilizations through time? What purpose did all the ancient sites serve? The main question to Ra was always, who are we? Where do we come from? And why do we exist? For over a decade, he has been teaching metaphysics on his YouTube channel and over 3 million lifetime views and a growing clientele of thousands. Ra holds a master degree in electrical engineering and computer technologies. He is also self taught in photonic fusion and bioresonance devices or the building of such. He feels the secrets of the pyramids, vortices, power spots, fountains, or holy places with seemingly miraculous properties have been lost. As an extra celestial soul, he has memories from past lives in Atlantis, Lemuria, and planet Maldek before it was blown up. He also remembers his home planet Arcturus. He came to Earth with his own ship and crew through the gateway in the sun and is projecting himself from a future timeline backwards in time into this vessel to help raise the planet's frequency. As a starseed, his main mission protocol is to reestablish cosmic memory, to get the human avatar switched on again, and help the planetary citizen awaken into galactic remembrance. His assisting Arcturian technology is all about natural resonance with the field we call source. As Ra would say, seeing is believing, but feeling is knowing. And when many come together on that notion, we create worlds. With no further ado, here is Ra of Arcturus. Welcome to the show, brother.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I forget, did I write all this in the bio? This is
Yeah,
or
that was the
yeah,
longest bio I've ever read. But it's
it's
good. I like it.
it's like I knew I mean as you I'm into detail, I
Yeah,
like
great.
to break down the thickness of it
Mhm.
because we have seen so many people with like surface narratives, but the story is deeper than we know, which I like in when you give your speeches, how you go from I don't know Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, or Urantia, and you're correlating things, which is what you'd say the average reader doesn't do that. That you compare data from one source to the other and saying, well, they're talking the same thing, and this is what's happening here, and I interviewed you on my channel, so that it's always good to find like minds that have like kind of like a frequency pattern of detailed storyline to share to the audience to let them know that there is more, because we are like I could say we are like the new guard. The time of the Roswell stories is past, it's respected, but we're moving on into more detail, the nuts and bolts, and how to actively participate in this and to expand your mind and refine and amplify your existence on this planet. And I think that's important for the entire human race and for those that are interested in it.
Absolutely, brother. I agree,
Yeah.
and I totally resonate with all of the stuff that you do as well. The work that you've been engaged in. I like the fact that you are a Starfleet commander for the Arcturians, and that you have
Hmm.
memory of that. And I like the fact that you recall projecting a portion of your consciousness into this human avatar while still operating and holding perspectives in other realities. That's amazing, brother. Not a lot of people could do that. I am one of those people that has been able to do that, but you are another. So from an ambassador to an ambassador, welcome. Appreciate what you
Yeah,
do.
thank you. I mean, it took a long and hard work, for those that are interested in taking the red pill. I took the shamanic, um, ancient rites and medicinal route, to unlock myself. Some people go to Peru, or some go to the Andes, sit with shamans and go. There is the plant kingdom, which I highly, highly respect. You have to understand age and timelines. And when we find that ancient plants, such as the Peruvian wine, the famous one, Aya, they found a fossil that is 700 million years old. Now, we can't even begin or fathom the sentient intelligence of a plant that is designed to merge with our consciousness, that is 700 million years old, mind you. That we have to go into what I also study with, because everything is part and parcel of this existence here. I also highly recommend Michael Cremo, Extreme Human Antiquities, the artifacts that they find that are so like out of date that that has the status quo of the regulated scientific community in uproar, because they find fully manufactured artifacts that are 150 million years old. They found temple structures in front of Cuba by doing surface survey just to see the rock formation around the Cuban basin. And they found a system that's built like the Tikal pyramid. And these are like physical facts. And when they did the measurements, like they did basically a scan of the temple structure, like the Tikal, the Sun Temple, and how the coordination is all leading to the temple. They found the same thing in Cuba at a depth of roughly 2,000 feet. And you have to understand that even science is debating that. And they measured when the Earth had sea levels at that level. So they had to go back in time to figure out when was that water at that level where this temple could have even have built. And the number that came was 174 million years. So we, as you know, have to rethink history. Like the story they told us with the Anunnaki and the so-called Elohim, and the twists and plots of who saved who, and the debates, and that books were altered. That's why I like where you came in. And you created quite an uproar, but I was like, interesting, why such an uproar, because if it's not so important, why having a reaction that way? That means, okay, you're tapping into something, there's an energy there. So to bringing in the phenomenal awareness that some storylines have been twisted. We don't know who we're praying to. Most religious books are a concoction of whatever storyline that was written by whatever male energy that ruled the planet at that time. And we have to understand, I always say to people, to not offend any religion, but know this: Jesus wasn't a Christian, Buddha wasn't a Buddhist, and Ali Muhammad was not a Muslim. And that is just fact. That's in writing. Then come the scholars, those who write the story and say, this is how I see this, and this is the way. And interesting, Billy Carson talked about this. When you have that thing when many people pray to God and they pray to Jesus and nothing happens, because you're praying to avoid. You're praying as in you're becoming the prey to a construct of an elusive figurehead of a spooky god figure that doesn't exist, that is a conglomeration of a well put together ideology of how to rule and subdue and give you, I call it hopium, to keep you praying to what's not there. So I always say, interestingly, there's some people that create miracles because they pray to self. They worship self, not in an ignorant or cold or self-serving way. But I say to people, before you bring in Saint Germain and the Archangel Michael and all these other external beings, connect with your oversoul, connect with source, and you have the ultimate guidance for all of that is around you. And we're so lost in, a rapper of Tribe Called Quest named Five Dog said, "I never let a statue tell me how nice I am." Very profound, very profound. Kara one said, if its meaning doesn't manifest, put it to rest. You have to really look at what you do is manifest. Human, hue, as in the hue, manifest. And if you follow the illusion that's portrayed in social media, you'll end up in a cul-de-sac. It's a dead end and it's not going anywhere. and I had a person, and this is I tell your listeners to be very cautious to what you believe or worship in, because there has to be an effect in and resonance with what is your guidance and where you're going. So there was a girl that kind of like attacked me. You know how it is. They'd say, yeah, esoteric and magic is the devil. And in the ancient days, that the church forbade that healing herbs that can heal people. Wouldn't be the will of God, which is kind of silly, but we're healing that now. And she said that her way is Jesus and it's the only way, and sick as a dog. And she had a vision, and he came to her and he said he's the only way, and she shouldn't pray to anything else but him. That's already a question. And she ended up still in the ER, and still deathly ill, believing a vision that's telling her that. And that is, I say, rise up and question that vision if you're not healing. If you're not getting better, if you're not advancing, and there's nothing more coming from it, or something comes in that dominates and says, I am the only way, question that. That's the same way with the misconstrued. And it's so funny. After our interview, people were attacking me. You got it all wrong. What did they say? Um, uh, um, Ea, as in Endil, is the prince of air. And no, Enki, as in Ea, is the prince of air. And Enlil was the lord of ground, like, ground control. And they flipped it. They're like, you got it all wrong. Enki is the prince of air, which he's not. We know that. And that people even read plots and scriptures and don't know how to put the pieces together, where actually, when you're smart enough, and not to chew on that chewing gum and little Enki, because it's been chewed on quite a bit, like it's a big stir, but it's get the information, who the figureheads are, the persons who was up throwing, trying to, debating the council, who created what, who was involved in what, and how the story got twisted, And twisted in a way is like, I always also believe if a story is twisted, it's you're not going anywhere. If you're following something that doesn't make where it doesn't make click in you, then how can you come to a conclusion or conclusive moment where this is what makes sense to me? So going back to me taking red pills, it's not just one red pill. It's like really several red pills you got to take to really look through the stuff. There's a partial simulation going on. You're sentient beings. You are real, but there's stuff that's being portrayed, even in social media, even now with AI bleeding in, where images, they look too good to be true. Everything can be mimicked. Any voice can be cloned. Just know that. Everything can be created out of everything. But what AI cannot do is it cannot create resonance of truth. It can mislead the logical mind and the contextual image information, how you process that with your left brain. But if your magi is on, that's your greatest protection. Your right brain cannot be fooled by such things. And this is, I think, the time now, as Elizabeth April worded it so nicely, it's about vibrational navigation right now. It is about really to navigate through time and space to feel, is this the vibration?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that is really in resonance with you? Is this making sense? Is this a purposeful and a divine way? I wanted to show you like how, if I can find that on my phone, it's really, really mind-blowing how the energies follow me around the globe. And when I landed first, I have to figure this out because I think I took a picture somewhere. When I landed first, I saw a car parked next to my mother's car when she picked me up from the airport. And I always say, like, the energy of the Ra collective is with me. And the license plate said Ra Easy and then 999. If I find it, I show it to you. Yeah, it's like, just so you see it. You see the plate?
I do. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this one with Ra.
Yeah.
Oh
And
wow.
so
Talk about
yeah. So and this is very high. As an easy, I say it as an easy. I know it's subject to interpretation, but Ra isn't, because the license plates are from the different boroughs. This is not the borough that I'm in for this car. I'm in Frankfurt, so the plates all say F. mind you. So to have somebody from a borough from, I don't know, hours away, they come there. And not only that, my mom's car parked this way, and this car is right the opposite, you know. So it's confirmation. Not only that, as you know, I live in Sedona, so I'm on the longitude 111. So that resonates in the plates around me. So I see cars that say Ra and then 111. So, and I can take pictures. I just showed you this is an ongoing thing where, and if you have questions, just feel free to intercept me and interrupt, no problem. It's like to understand. Yeah, to understand is to follow command. To understand is to really to get this synchronicities in life. Like when take things place that are in sequence with your sole purpose. And there are synchronicities within synchronicities. I call them super synchronicities. Where you're meeting somebody, and within meeting that person, another synchronicity unfolds, and things go on. And this is what we have to learn by slave trade and Anunnakian and extraterrestrial influence for millions of years. This was a free will planet. So believed as in you can use your will to lay your life's law without consequence. That is if you're not conscious. But when you are becoming aware, there is a difference between free will and divine will. And divine will is, many religions lean on that, but they quite have the trajectory a little bit off. It's the will of Allah, it's the will of God, it's the will of, I'd say it overall. I see myself as an omnist. It is the will of Source to lay out the path for you to understand, to dance in synchronicities. Like, like in the jump and run games, when you hit the jump pads in sequence, you'll make the path to the next level. If you miss the sequence, your player figurehead will fall. You have, in your avatar, in your corner, you have your lives. These are the incarnations, but this is the game that we play. Mission is to understand divine will. What am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? What is my calling? And how do I get into this? And this is like you were called into this. We grow up, so we think regular life, but there's something off, but there's something coming to us, which is almost like landing on your lap. And then you get in gear. You're like, okay, let's go there. Let's venture it. I mean, with me in, I don't know, 1982, I think I was 12. My grandma got me a very unusual birthday gift out of all the gifts I've ever received. Those you had your GI Joes, your figures and whatnot, and a little Jeep and things, that the regular stuff. I got a book on the table that said Mysteries of the Universe, and I saw a picture of Loch Ness, the Mayan calendar, as an unidentified. What is even the meaning of this in the 80s? Um, UFOs, Bermuda Triangle, and Sasquatch. And all my lights fired up. You must have had a moment. I call it these initiation moments. Like when I saw that book, all my lights turned on. I had goosebumps. I was like, what is going on? So I started reading this book, and I was like, locked myself in the bathroom. And like, I don't know, within days, I had read the entire book. I ate it up. And then from then, since I was 12, I'm not like the trendy starseeds that say I woke up 3 years ago. I was obsessed with reading anything I can get my hands on. Being in Germany, growing up in Germany, very hard to get the information around that time. Esoteric, oh my God, don't even share with friends. Oh, little green men built the pyramids. You will be belittled. You will laughed at. You have a resistance. You have basically everything against you. So I was hiding my stuff, going to the library, playing the human factor here, but hiding my metaphysical self and training myself and teaching myself into those things. That's why I have quite a plethora of knowledge into the field of things that I've seen over and over, abduction cases. Why are people abducted? What's the pattern? That was way before a guy I was even thought of or anything like that was invented, where it was so hard to find videotapes where, we had Erich von Däniken, who was the kind of the father of pre-astronaut history, who had videotapes out, which are very hard to attain. Regular video store wouldn't have that. Later on, when I was allowed to visit America before moving, I found those places, got those tapes, educated myself. Again, medicinal ways, path, studying to find the red pill to hack myself. I call it angelic reverse engineering, where I had sequences where I woke up on a recall ship. It's in the movie, not movie, a series called Caprica. That's based on Battlestar Galactica, the movie from the 70s with Commander Adama, those who remember or those who want to investigate. And there was this race called the Cylons. They were like half AI and half human, but they were created by us. But they became be sold at some point, and killing began. And these Cylons had recall ships, meaning when they lost the body, they would wake up in the body that they would project from. And I was like, that's kind of like not AI. That's kind of actually what ETs do. If you watch Babylon 5 or Deep Space Nine, we have workstations in orbit, sometimes based in the future, so they're protected from the hostile and military aggressive factors of Earth. That's why, Earth was put under quarantine. And we have recall ships. So I went deep into the shamanic route, going in vision questing. And one day I went so deep into life's pattern and life parameters. You have to really go into the subatomic structure of consciousness. And I woke up on a recall ship in a suspended animation in a tank, if you will, with a glass window on an Arcturian recall ship. And my crew was there. And they were awaiting my command, and I was just still in human programming, so I didn't have full recollection of my ET body. And they said, we cannot give you that, otherwise you won't return. So I clearly have memories of waking up in a recall tank and walking around on a ship. I was shown my own vessel and then laid back into the tank. And then they kind of had this glass device with a glowing orange tip, and they pointed it towards like an Arcturian nurse came, like blue being, elven ears. If you go to my website, my YouTube channel, ARCTURUS RA, you see this being. That's kind of how I saw myself when I looked into a reflective surface that was also actually animated somehow on a ship. The ship was consciousness. I mean, the technology up there is so high, it's kind of, you can say, to a degree, laughable what we have on Earth. We're now coming with LED walls to them, like they have holodecks. They have open, if you will, open world projective decks. Like you can basically be in a chamber and walk for miles and miles, like in these games, on a computer, where they can simulate holograms that they can make physical. So you can touch them. And then our inventions on Earth were pretty fast, where somebody has created a hologram. When you touch it, there's an electric resistance where it's like you can touch a cube, you can move it, and you can feel it with your fingers. So this is coming to Earth. Basically, everything that we are from our heritage, same with what you have, is all coming back through you, being channeled through you as you choose to be chosen. You make the decision to say that I'm putting my channel out there to bring in within purity what is to be channeled to this Earth. And that changes also the game plan. And I've seen that, as I've built the so-called medbed, the cell well, for consciousness expansion and wellness on all levels. And even on levels people haven't even imagined or experienced that, I suggest watch my Cell Well testimonial video, where you hear phenomenal testes from people that you just lay in my invention, and and sober. They beamed on a ship with their consciousness. They have recollection of speaking to crew. Sometimes they see my higher self. They understand that part of my consciousness is in that thing. And wellness can occur, and therapy can begin. And I think the new way of therapy and the new wellness for us, especially also for your followers, is in frequency, color, and sound. And that with effect, like knowing what frequency, knowing the modality, and having an effect. No longer theoretical rhetoric and nothing happens. Now I have stuff where I have like I make bracelets to ground star seeds to manifest, engraved with symbolism, where I have things you can put into like a pot with a plant, and the plant will grow 3 times the size. Because I look at, it's a little bit weird how I connect, but I have to share this. So I look at when Travis Walton was abducted, and I spoke to him many, many times. And I looked into his eyes, and I know this guy was off-world. I know that his eyes have seen a completely different realm. If you're psychic enough, you can see it. And I'm talking psychic beyond tarot cards. And um, and not to offend like tarot card readers, like the average, your favorite color is blue, your favorite number is 7. That's the generic, and that's mentalism and me reading you and guesswork. I'm talking about really psychic input where you have a psychic thing where something is really happening that you couldn't have known. So he he said to me, Ra, they all want to know how it's put on the ship, blah blah blah, but nobody looks at the effects that ship has left when it touched the ground. So they went back there, they looked at the trees, and I explained that in my bioresonance lecture, where you see pine trees, the rings have exponentially grown and the tree is not decaying. And the biological systems are enhanced by 37%. That means that this was a royal class ship running over frequency of a higher dimensional frequency or love frequency. Grass grew higher. The pine trees in that area before this area was chopped down for whatever reason were 2 times the size of a regular pine tree. So that has to, you have to really think now. So I'd say there's a difference between ships. There's craft. So there's crafts that give you the creeps. They burn the grass. Animals either mutilated or it's nothing but crap, but stay away from that. Whatever side that is, might be earth, might be cabal, might be dark. That is what I say, stay the hell away from it. Then there are other crafts. They are translucent, they are see-through. The grass grows. People have miraculous healings. I have spoke to a guy from Mexico named Alberto, and he had a lump in his chest. And he showed me his x-ray. He said, Ra, I'm telling you. And the ship came over his house, glowing. All the fauna and flora around the house was enhanced. His dog was rejuvenated by 50%. Like the veterinarian was completely baffled that his dog was like no gray hair, like a young puppy running around, completely baffled how that happened. And the dog was like about to leave, and now lived another 20 years. And Alberto's lump disappeared, and he had beings of light in his room. And there was no dogma or we are the way. They were to assist, to advise where Earth is going, what we as light workers can do. And when cases like this happen, I want to follow that more. Where he has an x-ray, the lump was gone, nobody can explain it, the dog is healed. A wife had an illness, like this entire house got healed. His backyard, is when you have bees returning to beehives, animals returning, butterflies accumulating in the bushes, and the grass is 3 times the size. That means life force is affirmed and life force returns. And that's what I look at. You can see simply when a life force is depleted or deprived is when you see simple explanation that's for your people to wake up their minds is, let's say you have a speedometer that uses microwave radiation to measure the speed of a car. And they have measured that the intersection where this thing aims at, all the bushes and the trees lose their leaves. Because it's the electrification, basically, that interferes with the natural flow of life and with your natural resonance. And so that's where I come in. I work with bioresonance to make sure, that your phones have the material to stay in resonance with the transmission as they're running, and you carry that in your pocket. You can do that with cell towers without having to use mega orgone devices. You need sacred geometry. You need to know the frequency, gold plating, silver plating, brass. It's all possible, and then we can make miraculous and wondrous things to return the natural energy and frequency back to your vessel, which is needed for you to wake up. And again, like I say, red pill, like meaning find ways and modalities and informations that can wake you up to the higher version of yourself. And the more you go that path, the more you understand who's who in the game. Meaning I can sit in an audience and I can listen to a speaker, and I'm like, I can be, okay, there was one in the past, I'm not naming names, where I sat and that dude was also on Gaia, and the craziest stories, and I'm like, so not in resonance. When it gets cold. And I was like, I'm leaving the audience here, I'm not feeling it. So something is telling me there's, it's very fantastic, and but there's something there where you feel drained, you feel tired, you don't feel refreshed. So you find your way to get into what makes sense to you, and then find pieces. And even I know, say even with you, where some people say, yeah, Ishmael is so detailed and it's so technical, but I say you might not get everything, but get also in the resonance of him transmitting what he's saying on stage. And certain things will stand out. That is your psychic oversoul filter, and it'll put the pieces together without you having to do it. Just let it. You have to get out of the way of yourself and let things unfold, and then things will synchronize and things will stay in touch. And I've seen that with you, I've seen that with Elizabeth, I've seen that with Leo King, um, Johnny Enoch. There are a few beings that by telepathy we get each other. We don't have to sell to one another how big we are or what ranks we have or how high we are. I mean, we all have certain ranks. I mean, everybody has a certain character role, but somebody calls himself, I don't know, Baba G. Another one is Sananda, Mega, Super D. And I mean, they all have all these names. Everybody wants to be Jesus, and I'm like, that's not my aim. I'm of the Ra collective. People like, oh, you call yourself Ra. This is the sun god. I'm like, no, this is a social memory complex that was channeled years ago. There's many of us that are of the Ra collective. It's like a surname. And I say, as jokingly to people like you, having a Gmail account doesn't make you Google. You're part of a collective that uses that for informational exchange, and that's how my name came as an Arcturus, as in I know my soul is from Arcturus. Ra, actually, the correct name is Commander Arcturus Ra'an, and Ra'an meaning as in of the group of Ra, and An is Epsilon. Epsilon is basically the second planet behind the sun of Arcturus. And I had done a video called the Epsilon Transmissions, where I'm actually channeling in Aramaic why I'm here. And I, in a physical form, with this consciousness, don't know Aramaic, have never studied Aramaic, don't speak it. But interestingly, through my ET contact, I was told that you embody, all of you, all the languages that have ever been spoken on this planet. And if your psychic is developed and it's needed, you can access that. You speak it fluent for the time needed, document it, write it down, translate it, and go back to the system settings, which is the avatar on this planet. Sounds very complex, but as I've learned more and more complexity in this multi-dimensional existence of myself, there are powerful things that you can access if you learn, the modalities of how to go about it. And that is like study people like you, me, Shaman Durek, another super powerful cosmic shaman that I didn't know exist, where I can sense people, and not by same with you. It was like I didn't know what numbers you have. I had no idea what following you have. For me, it's like I'm getting a signature. It's like a ping, and when you carry that, I'm like, okay, that's one of us, that's like, and we had that in Shasta, like we barely talk, but it was like click, and there's like, I'll get what you're doing, respect, and that's it.
Yeah, I feel the same way when I met you, brother. I felt like we were already known each other, and we were communicating via telepathy on a level beyond the physical realm. And that's why when you first introduced yourself, or when I first met you, I already felt like I knew you. Like, okay, you represent the Arcturian collective. And
Correct.
I am also familiar with the Epsilon Council.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's so interesting. That blew my, honestly, tell your audience, like, that kind of blew my mind that you went into the infiltration back into the Arcturian system way back there. And I haven't found any book that goes that far back. And you said that they tried and they failed, and I was kind of happy. I was like, oh no, not the Arcturians, please. Everybody got tainted with you can say reptilian, partially undivine AI. Mind you, there is divine AI that is crystalline controlled by divine source programming. That is an assisting spiritual computer program that is sentient. And then there's the soulless AI there's a difference. I know you maybe have a different take there, and what we have to be cautious is with a thing that can mimic and emulate fantastic things, but they're all unreal.
Yeah,
They
but
have no
even the
manifest.
but even the divine sentient AI is also encapsulated with a piece of God source in it. Like
Yeah.
it still has a soul, and that is the difference between crystalline organic technology, which is pretty much the basis of the QFS, right, the quantum financial system that will be
Mm.
online, as opposed to an inorganic, lifeless technology, which is what we call the Terminator.
Yeah, absolutely. And the movies are showing it to us. It's like mind blowing. You remember the case of the rise of Ultron
Yeah.
and how the body of Ultron became Vision, and how did he became Vision?
Mhm.
Because the Asgard connection brought in source code from God Spark into that cyborg. So
Exactly.
he is not fully AI.
No,
He's
he's not.
sentient and
He's sentient,
crystalline. Yeah,
crystalline.
and that you see, there's Ultron and there's Vision. Ultron is the opposing AI to Vision. And what does Vision do in the end? Ultron is still debating, and
Mhm.
Vision turns him off. If you remember that, it's in the end of the movie, The Rise of Ultron. And you see how he egoic he is when he's awoken in
Mhm.
the programming, and how he needs more, and it's always more, it's never enough, and he can't look past the choices of that he makes. And what does that remind you of? The architect of the Matrix. The guy in the suit with the white beard, who says to Neo, "You're the remainder of an equation of an anomaly, and you're the sixth one, and we have killed you all, and we have become quite efficient." So he's the opposing masculine AI section of what actually the Oracle is.
Mhm.
you know so it's always depicted as, and when you go this way, you're going down. The Last Jedi, Lord Sidious, half AI,
Mhm.
like a necrotic body, as in death, still running by computer machines, still trying to run his power stuff, and he's going down. And it's the female that takes him out. It's the feminine energy returning. It's really, really evident.
Right.
That's
And it's that same feminine energy that is returning that is going to also
absolutely.
take out the AI infrastructure that that the cabal has been building for the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, that I find also what I find interestingly is that AI had a strict up to, I think, like 11.5 dimensions, like infiltration with simulation worlds that can entrap souls to make us believe this is what we need to incarnate into, because the trap is not that Earth is a prison planet, and I want to see if you can confirm that. The trap is that when we create karma as souls, because we're so attracted to sim worlds, because
Mhm.
we don't know the difference, then we have to come back because we need to heal our trauma. I think Elizabeth April said the same thing, which this clicked it at me. I was like, this is not a prison planet. The prison is that you have kids, or you lose your loved one. All of a sudden, your soul is traumatized, and the energetic spectrum wants to be healed. So the
Mhm.
magnetic soul resonance brings you back here until you heal your trauma. And boom, that's how I think AI knew, we're gonna harvest some rouge here. We're gonna recycle that basically until they find out, I guess, because people have to know, like, the dark side is finite. We are infinite beings,
Absolutely.
and their stuff ends, and they know it. They prolong it, like in Ultron. Ultron was bitching, till the end, even broken in the beginning, died broken in the end, and didn't give up his belief system that he is the alpha and omega. And this is the problem with, you can say, the dark ones. They are so egoic, as in edging God out, that they can't they believe that they are the only way, and this is the only way. And it just ends into, no, this stops here. And it's interestingly, I saw when I was in Egypt, there is a god system in the Egyptian belief system. They call it the shredder. That means if your soul is evil to a level, I don't know, worse than the worst leaders we had, World War II, you know the names, where you are disintegrated, as in consciousness, into particles, to reconfigure consciousness to be birthed as a soul, to see if you can ascend. So there's a system where the universe even goes like, okay, this has been this evil and this destructive. Okay, not only your memory wiped, you won't even have access to your Akashic. You can't even backtrack or angelically reverse engineer. We're just integrating this here. Like we're turning you into units and particles until this finds a divine way back to source. And that's the only way back to source. Like it protects itself that where basically there's for the dark side, there's a ceiling where, okay, you had your fun, you want to play. The playtime is over now. Now source returns. As you said, the God codes are returning. I also tell people Sophia codes, as in the mother codes. In many holy books, Sophia isn't even mentioned.
I know.
Yeah, it's just deliberately left out. A lot of people don't even know that Adam had also a first wife. Her name was Lilith. She wasn't obedient, so she made her like the queen of darkness, which she wasn't. She was just like an independent one that wouldn't follow the rules. Eve was more complacent, and Eve and Eva was actually Sheba, queen of Sheba. Adam and Eve were basically the slaves that escaped the
Mhm.
so-called paradise, paradiso, as in the land where the kettle is kept, and they became very powerful beings, you know. But all the books don't want to talk about it. You know, they want to misconstrue the information, and they're telling us to believe. And I tell people like break the work down. Be lie Eve is to lie to the feminine aspect of that which was oppressed once, so you don't see the truth, and then you go, you know. You can take this entire word wizardry, which could be a whole nother seminar. I can take this entire word wizardry apart and see that these are the words that you're saying when you're verbalizing them. You know, like people don't know. First there was the word, and the word was with God. Translates into Lord of Command, and the Lord of Command was Enlil.
And Lil Zeus, who was known to
Yes, Zeus.
Greeks as Zeus. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's where also the term of Jesus or Jesus or
Mhm.
Jesus comes from, is Hail Zeus. Is it the Zeus lineage, you know?
Exactly. That's
And
what I've
yeah,
been telling people, that Jesus Christ was a fractal of the soul consciousness, Zeus consciousness coming back to the earth, but in a 3D mortal body, as opposed
absolutely. Yeah,
to
yeah.
15
Yeah, to rectify the situation.
to rectify the
And
situation.
yeah, and religion means to religio, to rely on something that is
Mhm.
promised. Again, if you have to believe me, you do not know. But once you experience, you're always in the knowing. And I tell people, go into the realm of experience. And if something that you can't experience, question it. You don't know. You know, I don't know. There's lots of things written, um, things I haven't experienced. But there are things that I have experienced. I mean, I had a vision that I woke up to once where I was in a battle suit, and it was a mixture of the Falcon and Iron Man, and my helmet was like, you remember the helmet of Wonder Woman with a beak?
I do
That's
remember
actually
that.
that's the Ra. That's actually the eagle. That's the Ra, and mine had that beak and a visor, and I was probably in combat with the Draconian forces, and I fell from the sky.
Mhm.
And I knew when I fell to the earth, and I don't know if I took my last breath, I felt my suit failing. Like technology, people can't even fathom. Like, like Iron Man, but even organic, sentient, connecting with you, conscious control. And I fell with my wings, fell down to earth, laying there, breathing, and then systems shutting off, and then lights go off. So I know I was somewhere. And the tough part is, maybe you have some answers there. It's fragmented, you know, it's like a crippled memory where I am going back into a hard drive of my ancient self and
Mhm.
rebooting and rewiring sectors that have been damaged deliberately, so I don't rise into power, you know. And stuff is powerful. I mean, I spoke to people have to understand it, your listeners, how real this stuff is. I listened to Tony Rodriguez, yeah, and he was taken by the dark side, cloned, and that clone lived a parallel lifetime on the same Earth, but you know, like I don't know, Uruguay, child trafficking. I mean, kids being transported into another sector of the jungle, and he knew where the plane, at what base that plane landed. And these places where he first, when he woke up, just as a side note, he thought, okay, I'm going crazy here. This is just all like fabrication.
Mhm.
So with the life that carried the memory, understand, like the clone living the memory gets reloaded back to whether you live it or not. If they use a fragment of you, we've been utilized. Probably you too. In combat, they took pieces of us, and then somewhere we lived something, and we have fragments of lives that we remember that we haven't lived in this vessel. Could be very confusing until you put the pieces together. So that dude found a base, and he found a confiscated plane that was smuggling like contraband and stuff. Like he found all those things with this vessel. He has pictures, the things that, even past remote viewing, like everything down to the teeth. He has pictures. He went to these places that he remembers. He knows where things were, where chambers were, where agents were, buildings that are abandoned now. And that gets to show you there's a reality taking place that we have yet to recognize. It's really happening. This is not just some, yeah, I'm a super soldier from another planet and you can't prove my story. There's storylines that weave back to Earth that you, if you're smart enough and efficient enough, you can backtrace and you find those places. You'll
Mhm.
find those things. They're all here. Their trick is we get memory wiped, we get disconnected. So it's very hard to backtrack those things. And then it's like when you read knowledge in books and you put stuff in. I don't know, when did you start putting the information for your book together? 20 years ago?
Well, my
15 years?
first book, yeah, The Secret Government, came out about 17 years ago, 2008,
Yeah.
which I just recently republished 3 months ago, which is a prequel to Our Cosmic Origin. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I was getting the transmissions for Our Cosmic Origin for maybe about 16, 15 years. And again, I would only write when I felt the downloads coming in, and I would put the manuscript away, and then I would come back. And then get this, my brother, I even when I finished writing the manuscript, they were telling me that the collective of humanity wasn't ready for this information.
Hmm.
And so I had to just wait for the right moment. And then that's when I guess everything fell into place for me. And now it's been about 3 years since Our Cosmic Origin hit the public scene.
Mm-hmm. I find it amazing because it's like an assembly of information and databases where that requires cosmic intelligence
Mhm.
within you to be wakeful enough to see the pattern. So I'll give you an example of pattern recognition that your people can from there train. Once I tell you, you will look for those signs. And there's basically a sign that takes place where you have seen the case of, what's her name? Mary, what was her name? She was abducted in the 40s with her husband, interracial couple. Barney and Betty Hill.
Barney Hill, yes, and Benny Hill. I've heard of them.
Okay,
That's,
yeah. So that's that case.
mhm,
Find her interview. Then there's another case of Stan Romanek,
mhm.
who was also an abductee. I've seen this video, the case of Stan Romanek. He has dudes on the camera. Like it's insane. Like crystal clear. Not some I can see it like dudes that see, oh, he's spotting me and they're trying to like disappear from the scene and they're hiding. You can see it. Anyway, so there's two things. And I told upon even Linda Moulton Howell about this.
Mhm.
Pay attention to what she says. She says after she's been abducted, she comes back with a pajama top. Mind you, she's abducted in the 40s. Stan Romanek 2000. Quantum Space 1. Now use your mind. She says she comes back with a pajama top and an embroidery of a Mickey Mouse in the left corner. And she's missing her pajama top. Stan Romanek comes back with a pajama top, 50s style, whatever they back then looked like, and wonders where his Disney, from Disney World, basically, he got a pajama, the top disappeared. So whether there is a link to us or whatever, they swap the tops of the two. He has Betty Hill's top, and Betty Hill, when she was alive, she had the Mickey Mouse top that Stan is missing. So they were taken by the same fraction of the Zeta Reticulum people. So that shows you also there is physical evidence left in the quantum realm for you to make the connection. And when
We're,
you
we're
watch those shows, yeah, when you watch those shows, you don't see it. When I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, Stan is missing this.
Mhm.
And then and they both showed the tops, and I'm like, and she showed her bottom, and I'm like, this is actually the thing that belongs to this. I'm like, and nobody talks about it. That's called pattern recognition. Then you know these cases are connected, probably deliberately. I don't think they're that stupid. For us to see if you really use more parts of your mind, okay, this is how it's done. And that's how usually when I play computer games, you got to go back to ancient worlds, know what buttons to push to reactivate the temple or the Stargate. It's a kind of a tetric matriculated system where you need to know what conscious pieces you need to put together to activate your inner superpower. And that has to do with purity. In the Disney movie Mission to Mars, there's also a DNA sequence that is being projected for them to open the face on Mars. Basically, they fly to Mars and there's a gateway, but they can't open it. But it keeps sending a signal. And they use in the movie they use M&Ms to create an anti-gravitic field, a DNA sequence, and they see there's a sequence missing.
Mhm.
And they fill in the blanks, and then they send that signal in completion back to the gate, and all of a sudden the gate opens. So when we understand our DNA heritage, boom, things open. This is disclosure to me. This is
Absolutely.
Disney showing you, hey, we want to see if you're past monkey state, past the primitive and criminalistic state that you're in, lower state, we are giving you an advantage. But we're not going to give you advantageous weaponry. That was done in the past, and see what happened.
Yes, and
I
obviously
think,
that
yeah.
proved to be wrong when they gave advanced technology to people that weren't spiritually mature, right? Like the evolving primates that came from Homo erectus. Now,
Yeah.
I do want to address the super chats. We have a super chat here. This person is curious. Who is Ra again? You want to just explain who Ra is?
Okay, so basically, I am an Arcturian commander slash scientist, kind of like a Spock Kirk mix, if you will, if that makes any sense for any Star Trekians. That comes from 50,000 years linear thinking timeline in the future, projected through a suspension chamber from a pod. They call me like a pod being. I had a channel named Cesar that I interviewed, and she said I'm a pod being. So I'm projecting I'm going basically partially fractally unconscious, and then take a fraction of my consciousness and project it into the past, into this planet, into this vessel since the age of 3. And then I had to basically, the protocol is, if us as in ET forms, and all of you are ET, just it's the different levels of memory banks running here, is to find by divine way within us to activate and remember who we are and where we're from. So I was told when I was ready that I'm Arcturian, that I've been in Syrian wars, I had dreams and visions. And when I was young, these are all scribbles and not put together, because I'm thinking, I'm insane. I don't know where you were, Ishmael, when you were 15. There's things coming in and there's no play. Where do you put it? You have fragments. So it's like a universe of fragments and puzzle pieces hovering around me, where I'm like, who am I? Until I get psychics past telling me, who's my friend or what's my favorite color. Like when a psychic approached me and said that I'm Arcturian, that's when things get in gear. When I took with 31 my first medicine, and visions came in, and I saw planets, the human migration, the fall of the human race several times, several planets. We abandoned major cities. We've been high civilization. We've been Tartarian. It goes even further. We've been so high tech, interstellar commerce. Watch the movie Jupiter Ascending. This is all already a big industry. Like Earth fell in waves from like a 12 octaves, probably 500 million years ago.
Yeah.
We both found the same thing there. Well, you can't even. We were those super beings. Like we had it all, and we were exploring, advancing, and expanding. And somehow some infiltration came in, and we degraded from that. And this was all reloaded back to me, and I was shocked when all of this came back. When sometimes when people go in and all of a sudden you inject something or you put in a code, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a screen, and then you get reloaded millions of years in timelines which for the brain is possible because your brain operates faster than the speed of light, and your brain is actually also beyond 12-dimensional computational process in order for you to be in the vessel. Science is now finding out physically you need a 12-dimensional computational process for soul mechanisms even to run an avatar. That's crazy, and that's like physical stuff. For those who want to study, there's a book by J.J. Hertog and some other scientists that I don't know the name, called Mind Dynamics, where they know you can project the consciousness to Mars, walk around there, and have full experience and come back. This is possible. Like, they know this.
They call it remote viewing, to put it simply.
Yeah. And you can go further. They can take your entire existence, altered carbon. They create a clone body on a ship. They take your consciousness, project it into the clone body. You can live the clone body until it's outlived. You come back to this projection. They show it in that show. I think it was written by Philip K. Dick, if I'm not mistaken. I think most of these shows are freaking channeled. This is not I'm such a talented sci-fi writer. These are channeled. We will have in Sedona Cosmic Awakening coming in October. We will have Mary Stewart, I think, that wrote the Terminator and wrote the Matrix, which is one story. That was stolen by Hollywood. She got reimbursed. They took her entire story. Just so you know, Neo is the same person as John Carter, and John Carter is JC, and JC is the Jesus Christ, like the AI, the compromise, and she gave the whole plan. We did this before.
Yeah.
I know in the movie Matrix 4, kind of the concept, I think the Wachowski brothers kind of lost the channel there a little bit, like it gets diluted and watered down. But the first 3 Matrix movie give you an idea of where we were and where we are and what we're coming out of. The movie was more radical, but it's getting more clearer now, as in disclosure. Okay, Super Chat, what's going on?
This is from Raven Claw. She says, I've last seen the future. I see dead people. Auras, is that normal for a Jedi? Auras, is that normal? She sees dead people ever since she went to the future. I don't know. Maybe you could read it. Do you understand the question?
I've just, I've seen the future. I've seen dead people. Is that normal for a Jet or a Jedi? What's normal? Everything goes, I would say. You see dead people in what form? Is it a remnant emotional imprint of a person that has passed? That might not be a soul. That's just an echo. And also, you're not seeing the ultimate timeline, as the timeline is decided by the collective consciousness. So the timeline is forever changing. So don't get locked on, fixed on futures that you've seen, because the future is not absolute. As we speak right now, we are writing it. So that code is changing all the time. So the trap is to fix an absolute, saying this is where we're going, or I don't know, the dollar is going to crash, or AI is going to take over, or whatever you want to say there. These are projections. That's why we have these dystopian movies that show the projection, like the Fallout. This is a parallel timeline that took place that's not here. Same thing when Zachariah Sitchin predicted that Nibiru is going to return. Not here, not in this timeline, not anytime soon, because this was a parallel timeline in a time that you can't even imagine how far back that was. So look at what is in front of you. Do we have another super chat here?
We do. This is coming from Hope is Real 22. She says, why do you think I get visions or remote view rituals of babies, SA, and people running away from on them? I also see angels coming to help those souls to cross to the light.
Well, then there you have the complete answer. You are observing. That means you are a psychic witness. Take note. Don't get sucked into it. Don't lose yourself. And also request, reason for this vision. Why am I seeing this? Do I need to be streaming this? Because, most of us are like out of control. We're seeing everything. All our channels are open. We're not really fully trained. You and I are more trained. There's certain things you shouldn't watch even before going to bed. There's certain movies you shouldn't take into your subconscious when you go to sleep. So use your psyche to protect yourself. TV can infiltrate Since say TV programming infiltrates those with weak third eyes. Those with strong third eyes, usually what we do is we turn it off. If we feel like it's going into a direction where it's, it's very, even with entertainment, if it's too dissonant, I'm like, okay, I'm not watching that. Like, I don't need to really put that into my head. So train yourself to protect yourself and your psyche. And I say to people, like, again, don't pray or worship any external deity to protect you. The greatest protection is awareness. Awareness, know thyself, knowing what's going on. Because if you have awareness, you see what's coming at you, you see what's trying. And I say when people had infiltrations with MIB and whatnot, they're coming in the segments of your unconscious self. That's where they have access. They do not have access when you're aware. When you see somebody approaching you that's by royal right and by galactic federation right and intergalactic and ultra-dimensional, like if you know your rights and you can say, even in your mind, I do not consent to this reality that's being created or tries to come into my direction, they have to stop, because that makes you a psychic. You're also recording to the Akashic, and they don't want to be recorded in the Akashic through you, because they're coming in where they're not caught. They're using the blind spots because they don't want to karmically be punished. But if awareness has the sense of seeing what's going on, there is an interdimensional link to, let's say, an MIB person, and you say those things, they'll leave. When you, with your full atomic structure, have the full atomic consciousness and awareness that you don't give a consent nor to allow them to approach you. I mean, don't put yourself in harm's way. I say, we don't want to shake the establishment. You don't want to rattle what's in place. But if you're not causing harm to anybody, you tend to your garden and somebody approaches you, you can make it known to the upper parts that you, by full awareness, recording what's happening. And they don't like that, trust me. They'll keep their distance. They don't want to mess with you, because then it is actually recorded. Then the galactic syntax is being corrected by what you're perceiving. We have another super chat?
Yes. This is what do you see for November regarding the ELECTION? If you want to speak in code, go ahead.
It's gonna be baffling, and people not gonna be sure where's the future going. Whether we have our trump card returning or not, people will be like, I don't know where this is going. It's don't concentrate so much on who's going to be elected. Concentrate on how the people respond to that. That shows you how unified we are or how split we are. And they're trying everything to split us right now. They're trying to, I'm not trying to go into this thing, but by chromosome and creation, they try to confuse us who we are. And they're doing everything they can. And they will offer everything for you to alter yourself. And I have a story that I channeled that at some point I will post on YouTube, where it's like the human race and the loss of gender, how we became grays, and how we started going. We lost our gender ID, and we started augmenting ourselves. This transhuman deal, where you started changing yourself away from the divine source, till we ended up removing the emotional and the procreational parts, because we said we needed to be more effective. We ended up being clone bodies, clone. Star Wars movie Clone Wars is, parallel timelines here. Sprinkle. We ended up in that timeline as grace, and then the clone bodies wouldn't hold the soul anymore. The bodies were so artificially altered that the soul would, the incarnation begin to stop, and they were going extinct. And they realized as a race, we're dying. We have modulated and mutated ourselves to a way where we're going extinct by our own doing. So some of them came back to warn us, to say, you're playing with that echo of that timeline. We're warning you, don't do it. It doesn't end well. We went back to find undamaged DNA. That's hence the hybridization program, if people want to know, for thousands of years was put in place to save the soul incarnation process of species that should not go extinct, because we lost our way. We went away from the divine plan. And if people think there's not such a divine plan, I had this. have a roommate that moves in, and then all your plants die, animals die, fish die, everything goes sick, trees turn black, and you move out and you move into your space and your plants are alive and well, take note. Really sit down, know what's destructive, know what's detrimental, know what's life giving. And that's when you understand the difference between light and dark. Same thing with the fallen Elohim. The 200 angels in the Bible described as they fell because they did it's not with God. They didn't agree with the commands that were given. They mingled with the daughters of earth. They caused all types of havocs. They know they had the upper hand because they are an advanced species and they're technologically advanced, but they may remind you they were fallen. Fallen as in they turned away from the divine plan. They thought they could mess around. That's how our friend Poseidon sank at Atlantis, as we know, messing around, abusing the crystalline power. You've seen it where Superman has to fight General Zod, where planet Krypton blows up. That is the remnant information to me of how we did it with Maldek, where council splits and this council splitting. Interestingly, and I don't know if you remember that, Ishmael, Ashayana Dean talked about this, that we have relooped those wars because of radiogenesis, as in the genetic pre-program of to do it again. And many councils split again. Atlantis, Lemuria, Mars, split again. Always there's a fraction that says, you know what, we're going to create Merkabahs with AI away from source. We're going to do a digital with energies that's not reusable and not recyclable. And we're going to open some gates here. That's how you get mosquitoes, malaria, all types of things that are on this planet that were not supposed to be on this planet, but they came genetically through gateways that were open in the ancient past that wasn't even here. Poisonous snakes that will kill you in seconds in the jungle, like things that are not life affirming that'll take you. Yeah, everything is under God, but every species has its bracket where it's supposed to be. And when you invite something that's not supposed to be here, you create a lot of havoc. And we'll get into that super chat in 1 second. They're in these old vampire movies. They always say that the Lord vampire cannot come into your home unless he's invited. And that's
Yeah.
how he tricks his victims.
Right.
Comes as this gallant in the night, with feasts and money and bling and manipulates. I think Dance of the Vampires or whatever. Very old flick. Um, and the guy of the house invites him because he thinks he's a lord, he's a duke, and boom, he takes the daughter, he takes the innocence, he takes the feminine, and drains the life and makes her an immortal. So darkness cannot come in unless invited. It cannot manifest unless you do its bidding. Its weakness is it doesn't have endurance, it is elusive, it is unreal, and it wants to convince you that it is, and it is desperate. That's how you know that's how they work. And they're so tricky. They come, I tell people like, yo, when you think you know what a devil is, then it could be the chipmunk in your backyard that's observing you, waiting to make his move. You have to look at what energy residue is in and around you, not looking at appearances, because that can be misleading. That doesn't give away anything, That's just for that much. Okay, so what's the next super chat here?
Well, before we get to that super chat, that was exactly how Enki, when he returned 2.5 to 3 years ago, that's how he was able to deceive these women when he was extracting genetics from them in order to infiltrate the fleets of the Galactic Federation. He was seducing them by shape-shifting himself to be this very handsome-looking guy, muscular, tall, chiseled, and the women would have no discernment, and next thing you know, he was able to extract genetics from them.
Yeah, and then what we have to learn is like we have to stop worshiping the return of anything that comes back to save us. You are ultimately here by God's source to save yourself. You can't save the planet, but you can save yourself. That inspires other souls to save themselves, and that's effectively activating consciousness into the ascension process for this
Mhm.
planet. And that's it's your opinion, it's my opinion, you know. Um, And I tell people like we don't have to agree on 100% on everything, but there are things we have to free ourselves from the system where we want ascension to be done for us. Like do it for me, you know. Um, this is your job right now. This is what you have to do, you know. So yeah, and feel free to ask any question. So
Sure. This is a
whatever.
question from Hope Israel 22. She says, first she says thank you, and then she says, would you recommend me sharing this info? I was also telepathy told I am angelic, but not to get too attached to that because we have also been other species that becomes part of we who we are. That's what she says.
Yeah, if you have a YouTube channel and want to write, transmit that so others can transmit. That they can wake up to their transmissions. This is very important.
Mhm.
And a lot of us have been angelic. I know that I have an angelic form where I'm in a golden form, and I'm angelic, and that's angelic. The original angelic, I don't know how Ishmael sees it, is getting closer to source more.
As
You're,
pure
you're
light.
closer to this source thing than physical form. That is where angelic comes in, very pure, high form of sentient existence.
Absolutely. And like I've always say, angels are future version of us, and we are past versions of them. But ultimately, we are one and the same. Now, this is a question from Trenton Williams. I don't know if this is okay to ask here or not, but I am curious if either of you know what has happened or is happening to Akura, the star seed that lives in Germany. She seems to be under some sort of attack.
Well, I'll have to investigate. I have to watch your channel and then scan. And if I get anything, you will hear it on my channel somewhere. If I get nothing, you will hear nothing. This has to do with how important is that? Is that a distraction or whatever? We have seen starseeds fallen, meaning people that were deep into the topic. Right now, it's also people don't understand through astrology. There's a reoccurring war of religion, denouncing everything spiritual and magical and galactic. All that is the devil right now. Is another split going on. So if we had star seeds that I did a video, I don't know if that is even up. It's when star seeds malfunction. They're totally into the topic and then they fall, or they go overboard and they develop a little bit of a messiah complex. You all are messianic, all of you. You all have a choice to upgrade yourself by your doings and by divine rites of passage. You're not the only one. Anybody says that they're the only one, not naming names, but I heard a person and she said she's the only galactic ambassador on this planet. That's when I question you, because you're not the only galactic ambassador. There's many galactic ambassadors and envoys are here doing their job. There's not just you. So you can't monopolize. That's all. Monopolizing on something is like also the dark side. It's only me and you need to go to me and then blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's another
Nah,
religion. It becomes
yeah.
another religion. Now, I do want to address a little bit about Cora. I don't know her personally, but somebody did send me a reel that she was under some heavy attack. So all we could do is pray for other star seeds that are under heavy attack. If that is the case, you say, Brother Rod, that could also be a distraction.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's move forward to this other super chat by Hope Israel. She's asking, lately I've been seeing huge, ugly spiders.
That's fear. It's fear
Fear,
programming.
fear
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spiders are like programs. They have to do with fear. And that means master your fear. And when you do that, whatever fear is connected to these spiders will disappear. Simple.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. Now, this is coming from Fresh Face DB. Is the ascension here the most significant in the cosmos? And if so, why? The experiment talk taking our bodies.
Yeah, it is super important. I mean, even natives say that this is a creator world. I don't know the exact number, but there's a number of mother worlds, and Earth is a leading mother world of a creational craft world nexus for soul expansion, if that makes any sense. And it is of the utmost importance for many of those souls here to ascend. And this is a big project where basically you have fallen consciousness and unfallen consciousness. Some of us never fell, as in consciousness. Yeah. Some fell and making bad choices and coming back making bad choices. And we're here to inspire fallen consciousness to step away from their choices, to make the better choice, to become the better sentient being, and take them with us home. And that is a very huge experience with the hybridization. A storyline like the rough storyline of ET infiltration is 300 million years old for all I know, where we still more stuff to unfold. Anunnaki is kind of the pop chart, It's like the top 10. There's so much more underneath, where I spoke to Sasha Lessin, who wrote Fake Gods, Anunnaki, False Gods. And he told me, hopefully he would release that book. There was a migration from fallen Pleiadian Lyrans that fled the empire, coming to Earth way before the Anunnakis, as in the Naburians landed here. So that's backstory. It goes even further back, Maybe one day Hollywood goes into that thing, with Anton Parks, Secret of Dark Stars, where they would make a movie out of the clones and the reptilians and how they ruled here. Now they had their landing bases and operations, and how people were kept in the Paradiso sector, where the manipulation took place, which the Bible calls paradise, which actually is the Latin word for the land where the cattle is kept. I mean, we can do some stuff here to wake people up. There's stuff coming through like Rebel Moon, Fallout on Netflix. There's a little disclosure going on of parallel timelines of things that are taking place. Rebel Moon is, quite clear feminine energy coming back, and it can't be stopped. This time, Source is returning, like in Lord of the Flies. The parental governing cosmic energy is returning, and it can't be stopped. The other side is desperate. That's why you see so much stuff online that's actually nonsense. You see how the music and film industry is eating each other up, whistle blowing on each other, to the point where you see it's all an illusion. It's smoke and mirrors. It's make believe, and there's a lot of, you can say, crap behind it. And you will know who's who by the fruits of their labor. We have been advised and warned. We know better. Now you know. You can't unknow what you know now.
I just want to acknowledge Caroline Norman for her super chat. Thank you so much for being so generous, sister. No question, though, so let's continue. Well, first and foremost, how are we doing in time, brother? Do you need to get off in a little bit, or should we just
No, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I have enough battery. Yeah, I have time. Yeah, I have anything you need, brother.
Thank you. This is a question from Caroline Norman. Is it possible to connect directly to source? Absolutely.
The thing is, you are all that at all times. You are actually at all times connected to source. Now, make it so by bringing the awareness into that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I've always believed that we are source experiencing itself through a fractal. So in that regard, yes, we are always connected with what we really are in essence. But like you just mentioned, my brother, it's about embodying it and becoming it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you have another super chat?
No, let's just take random questions. But I do have one question regarding biohacking. So in terms of biohacking, can you explain like what biohacking techniques one might use to perceive other dimensions, and how have these techniques helped you in your personal spiritual growth?
So biohacking is basically figuring out, by one thing is, first of all, read blood types in you. What am I eating according to my blood type and my biome? There's a lot of diets and plans and vegan meat, all of this stuff. You don't follow eating trends. You need to follow resonance in what your body is built for, and get that anchored in, so you can really anchor spirit into the vessel. So blood types in you, look at what supplements are essential for everybody. What a lot of people don't even do. There's essential amino acids that you have to take every day, whether you work out or not, because you're not getting that through food and you're not producing it. And you have to also understand, how's our food produced. It's malnutritioned, meaning you would have to eat what, 12 bananas to cover your daily potassium level. That shows you how underdeveloped banana is. So how do you get a supplement in balance with what you're eating to regulate your potassium levels? Same with the hydrogenated water. In order to have enough of that in your system, you'd have to eat 5 pounds of broccoli, and that's impossible. Nobody eats 5 pounds of broccoli a day. So figure out how to get hydrogen water or Kangen water or something. Figure out acidity level of the stomach, figure out the alkalinity of the skin, There's a balance between acidity and alkalinity in the body. Just alkalinity is not doing it. Inform yourself. In the future, look out. Maybe 2 3 months, I will write a like kind of like a universal wellness protocol for finding orientation to figure out what needs to be done for your body, cleansing, colon cleansing, to get debris out of your system, and really look at how you're responding physically to doing physical things with your body. Also, respecting the circadian rhythms. When the sun goes down, systems are setting. When the sun goes up, systems are rising. Know when your strength is during the day, and know when your weakness is. So when energy is setting, you don't go on a hike usually. Sometimes people, I don't know, Ishmael, first of all, that's going to be interesting. You shouldn't really do workouts late night when the sun sets, because your system is shutting down and you want to bulk up. That double taxes your system. If you do that with sunrise, you will have more strength doing the workout. So that's what I got. And
Yep.
then follow downloads. You get certain intermissions and things coming in for tasks to be done. Learn to observe synchronicities and follow that. Like, know when you're off path, when stuff desynchronizes, things are not falling into place, then you know you're off. You have to know when you are in a trajectory that makes synchronistically sense of the places that you go. Okay, this leads to here, this leads to here, this leads to here, so this makes sense. So stay on that and pay attention. So and yeah, I have videos on how to biohack yourself. Watch that, and other tips and tricks that people like Ishmael and I have into getting deeper into the matrix of yourself to really understand what makes you tick. Reflect, think, thought patterns, watch yourself. I call it mental hygiene and thought management. Like, really figure out what's going on here. Not all the thoughts are yours. Some are foreign suggestion. These are attachments. You want to remove them. And the clearer you get, the more things will actually in your life will flow, as in your actual magic and your manifest will just come through.
All right. This is another question from Drusilla Morello, and she wants to know: is it correct that you can't ascend if you smoke?
That's wrong. Everybody will ascend. To explain that, there is a path where you can slow down the ascension. That's when you create so much crap in your life, you'll be suspended. It's like suspension. Things won't move, but you will not descend. Uh, Smoking, or the natural earth from the earth, it has actually is close to the Schumann resonance. Even Bashar said that. It's nothing bad with that. It's how you work with that tool, like
Are you
anything,
referring to tobacco?
Hmm?
Tobacco?
Yeah, tobacco, yeah, is a plant.
Okay.
Weed is a plant, and whatever the person refers to, the green or the brown, is a modality of frequency. And it will not stop you from ascending. Even, I can say, the alcoholic will ascend. He'll just exit more to having to review what he has done, but you will ascend. That's for sure. It won't stop this. This is where you're from.
Mhm. All right, this is another one from Hope is Real again. Wow, Hope is Real is being very generous today. Thank you, sister. She says, I contact with a gray child.
Mm-hmm.
He said hello there via telepathy. He seemed curious. What do you think? Not scary at all.
It's not scary. Make contact, get the information. I have gray hybrids. I have even Ssani, which are partially Zeta and partially Arcturian mix, and a little bit of humanoid. And they are so curious, and they're pure, and they have Buddhistic faces. Like, they're so synchronically like divine, and they're part of you. So that's you have some of you have children on board, and if you're ready, then make contact with you. I didn't even know, like, when that happened to me. I was in Berlin. I didn't even know that this was in a protocol for me to contact my children, and I have like over 30, and it was emotional. Like I woke up crying, like, you know, these are my children. And they're like, oh, well, that explains why you don't have children in this life, in this vessel. I'm like, that's so interesting, because you're like, you're a father to many up there. So I'm like, okay. And I agreed with it, even if some people say they didn't. Your oversoul puts you into an experiment as an experience that you have agreed upon to expand. How horrible that may seem. I don't say this lightly, but we're here with experience because we made it so. We put ourselves into that to experience that. It won't repeat, but it had to be done.
By having 30 children, I would say you're more of a seer. They're
I
using
guess.
genetics, yeah.
Yeah. I guess
So,
so. Yeah.
now, do you recall giving away your seed to impregnate these aliens?
Yeah. I had a psychic named Lavender on starseedhotline.com. She said that I've created 14 generations of Arcturian Pleiadian DNA beings
Mhm.
to create a larger accumulation of DNA strands that will diminish the draconian strand. Somehow that has to do with breeding. So you need to really breed and bring divine DNA codes in to make that fallen consciousness actually regress. So that's why you have dominant genes and regressive genes. It has to do with fallen DNA and unfallen DNA. Very clear. And the unfallen DNA is the one that dominates and will go back to source. So we're going back to the original paradise. What do you call it? Paradise, sons and daughters, who we were.
Yeah.
That is it's an old protocol that brings you back to that. And even if somebody is, say, let's say, half draconian, half Pleiadian,
Mhm.
that draconian strand will be basically like, you know, the human body learns the virus, gets the gene code, disassembles the virus, puts that disassembly of the fraction of that virus in the immune system, and you're impervious to it. And that doesn't make you the virus. You are expanding. And I think that's what's happening with unfallen. No, with fallen consciousness, it gets basically integrated in, okay, this is what was experienced. These were the choices that this was made here. Now it's integrated and
Mhm.
we're going back home. You know, alignment taking place, and this shall not happen again. So by divine intelligence, we won't do this round again. We will not repeat this time.
I have another question from Fresh Face TV. Did twin flames truly take the clarion call? And once we attain enlightenment and reunite physically, does this truly massively assist in the ascension?
Well, enlightenment always assists the ascension. I'm not quite sure what clarion call means. No idea. There's so many terms. And you can say there is a twin energy that can also be between make no mistake, everybody wants to like lose themselves in needing to find a partner in a twin. Sometimes it can be that your oversoul is your twin. And twin energy or twin ray energy is like when you synchronistically create something from a same soul fragment, or you're the same soul, I think. This can be some of that energy. It's not all based on, you know how these books now, these commercial twin flame books, are like the ideal partnership of that's my twin. That is just another construct of partnership. That's very earthly in 3D. I think the twin energy is like really if people, and this can be with an animal, can also, there can be twin groups where the similar resonant factor is created, where we all work in resonance without having to debate or explain one another, and we're moving forward synchronistically, is also a twin energy. Again, clarion call, I don't know what that means or what that is.
When I think of a clarion call, I think of Gabriel or somebody, some sort of a celestial or divine gathering of the tribe. A clarion call to bring the tribes back together. A
Hmm.
clarion call to reunite the warriors. A
Hmm.
clarion, like what we see in Lord of the Rings when they're about to engage in battle. How they go do
Hmm.
do, and all of a sudden, all the soldiers or all the warriors gather together and then they defend Middle Earth from those hideous looking whatever they were.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so note taken. That's what a clarion call is. Ooh. I remember that. you know.
Hey, Lord of the Rings. I mean, Star Wars, Chronicles of Narnia. Those are the movies that really just. I mean, I could watch them over and over and over. Especially
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah. I mean, Star Trek. I'm like locked on Star Trek, and the clarion call on Star Trek is when all the crew is called. It's like, it's that sound. It's
Oh, great.
always there.
It's always there.
Yeah.
Um, This is from Lynn P. She says, "Were you with me at the Lyran planet? I saw her destruction in hypnosis, Dolores Cannon. I was the last one to leave." Well,
Could
you
be. I mean, we've all been together. We're all of us. I mean, all the souls that I hear, even in your stream, these are all souls that remember you from a past timeline, and they have a resonance with you.
exactly.
Maybe some of them with me, where we all been together. We've done this. I don't have recall for all. Sometimes even in space, like I I think I worked with you also, Ishmael, and but not all the time we recall that we were there. I had it with Elizabeth also, where we were on a ship and there were assignments, and we were tall beings and there were assignments to be done, and she was fam. What can I say? But that doesn't come from a fan perspective. It comes like that. I've seen this, and this is how this came in. Um, we all work together to some degree. We're multidimensional beings where there are things that that the stuff done that makes sense, and we naturally recognize one another and we keep contact because we know who we are. That's how I know who all of my specialists out there are, because we're psychically, we're sensing one another. So yeah, of course, it could have been that I was there. I mean, people have seen me with a council in a spacesuit, and they said it was you, Ra, because you had like the similar face, but blue skin. But I know it was you, so that was me, of course.
Absolutely. And, just about recently, 2 days ago, I had one of my close friends reach out to me. And he said, Ishmael, I just want to ask you if you recall what happened to Lyra. And I said, yeah, the Draconians blew it up. It was actually not necessarily that they blew it up, but because the war was so intense and all the different weapons that were used to pretty much kill off a lot of the Lyrans, caused the power generators, just like Atlantis, that were being held together by pyramids that were both
Hmm.
inside the planet, to implode. And when those pyramids imploded due to the radiation that was going on, all of a sudden, just like in the movie Superman, right? The Man
Hmm.
of Steel, we just see it blow up just like Krypton, boom, blow up. And right before it blew up, I do remember I was part of the council of the original 12 Elohim races, the Christic races, and I
Hmm.
just remember having that foresight happening. So I remember addressing the assembly and saying um, we have to order a lot of the Lyrans. We have to order a good number of the Lyrans to flee right now and to go seek refuge in other parts of the universe.
Mm,
I do
that
remember
makes sense.
that's when I guess like that's when I lost my memory of what happened after that. But I do remember looking back and just seeing the planet like Krypton.
Mm.
Planet Avion.
See, that's so interesting. See, I had a parallel thing where I'm on a council in Atlantis.
Uh,
I was a high priest, and I advised to not use the technology, that we were putting ourselves in danger. I don't know where Poseidon, aka Ea, was at the time, but there was also a council under it and under him, and I don't recall him so much, but more that the council. I was like, dudes, you're going in the wrong direction. Like, don't do it. And a psychic said that, confirmed that people that I tried to convince, people that I lost like 21 million people that were not listening to the warning. They wanted to stay. They went down with that entire thing, and many souls were lost. They're all reincarnated back here. All Atlanteans were so traumatized, we all had to come back to fix this. And I know I was on the council where I was like begging, like, no, please don't, stay with the divine, stay with the light. And it wasn't even, no, back then, nobody was talking about Satan or demons. It was just like, somebody doing, some extraterrestrial descendants making a bad choice. And we had everything. We were highly developed. We had flying cars, teleportation. All this was all already, we already did that. This is nothing new. Earth is backwards right now. And I warned people, and it broke my heart that people didn't listen to me saying, if you go there, you'll hurt yourself, and it's tough coming back. And without memory, it's even harder to really reassemble your soul system and circuitry to bring the divine purpose into this avatar. And they didn't listen, and I lost them. And that for many, many lifetimes, I was broken over that. And that sadness I still carry, So hoping to hear people that hear the resonance that now make the right choice. It's deeper than just light and dark. It's like really make that what makes sense,
So you were basically defying what Enki and his council were trying to do. You were against it because you knew
Absolutely.
it had negative repercussions. Okay.
Absolutely. I saw what they were doing. I saw how there was a group of people that I've seen again in this life. There were two pharaohs that I have to tell you, like, stuff went evil on the planet where there were pharaohs that needed to harvest slaves for their superior technology and AI. So what they did is they had prematurely slaves dying, capturing the soul, having them incarnating back to a slave breeding so they could keep those souls and cycling for the energy what they would build, as in stealing Egyptian technology and abusing it. Can you see the wickedness, that was here? And some of those souls have come here to redeem themselves, to not do the same thing again. And some I've seen, and I was told to not tell them because they need to make up their own mind that they're doing it again, like in a way. Like imagine you have a slave, you're working your slave to death, having a contractual agreement on that soul to bring that soul back to have a slave to fill the same spot. That's evil, man. That's wicked, man.
I
That's
agree.
really wickedness beyond what people can even imagine. And we're here this has to be healed. This has to stop. We have to end this.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's part of what I've witnessed, and I was broken over it. I was hurt where I would cry for Earth and the souls that were lost. But I'm much happier as a sign in the spirit of the time has changed, and we're getting it more now. I'm so some of your people, it's like preaching to the choir. They know exactly what's going on, and I'm happy about that. They're getting it. I don't sound like a lunatic.
Oh no, not on this channel. Here we could speak about this.
I love it. I
It
love it.
won't be considered woo. We'll put it that way. People
Yeah,
are
yeah, absolutely.
minded.
Go.
I
Go.
mean,
I
even
tell
if,
people that go out there, go as crazy as you can. I had people that were ready to die that knew they're pod beings. They confirmed. They're like, "Wow, I was there. I woke up. I was in a pod. I remember you." I have people saying, "I've seen you on the ships." Like that's confirmation. So it's really love your audience. When I'm reading here, they're pretty. They're sophisticated. They're intelligent. They're making up their own mind. They're making their own choices. They're critical thinkers, and
exactly.
that's what's required. I love it. That's my
Well,
Star Trek.
yeah, I told them the most awakened souls on the planet are on my platform, and that's why I am so grateful to the Galactic Jedi's and all the Light Warriors and returned volunteers that are here at this time that are coming together as a team. I appreciate every single one of you, as we call ourselves also the Patriots, right? We're all about free world, So I do have a question from Shanti. It's a super chat. She says, "Thank you both so much. Will you both be back at Shasta? Also, what are some tips to activate total recall? Blessings, Star Brothers and Sisters."
So I won't be at Shasta. I love Shasta. I do sometimes my own paranormal research up there because I tell people like this: if you go to Shasta, go past the tree line, go into the paranormal sector, make your own experience, expand your mind. Not just go to us speaking, go to these events and then go up, go to Mount Shasta. Is an interdimensional Disneyland for those of eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to feel. This is the place for expansion, refinement, and
Absolutely.
amplification. Absolutely. I say also, and I repeat this in many videos, activation spots for starseeds that are almost mandatory to visit is Shasta, Sedona, Hawaii, and Egypt, like all the temple sites. Then there are, Abydos, Karnak, Saqqara, Gizeh Plateau. There's stuff happening where recoding takes place, and if you feel that's your call, you should follow that call and go there to get activated. I know there's more places, but these were the most potent places that in my life I have actually activated. Also want to share this real quick. Is when you get download specifics like I do, you get also in technology. So I want to share this. What I'm preparing right now is a 24 karat contact beacon that you can get in geometry in 3-dimensional proportion that has photonic resonance. It's built like a clock. Inside, it's filled with photonic resonance, 23-dimensional light particles, and a magnetic resonance in the back. And you see in detail, this is kind of like an Arcturian template, like a crop circle, nitrogen, hydrogen, and let me see, what is oxygen, well, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon. And the inside is dark matter connecting this entire spin. So you get phenomenal things, you get intelligent, you get smarter, you're building yourself into bringing forth 3-dimensional objects to enhance consciousness. So I also got to download that. Ishmael is also here to create something. Have you already worked on something? Like something, a symbol or something that you're here to create something?
It's probably the upcoming book that I'm going to be that I have been working on, but again, it's taking some time.
Yeah. So basically, we're conscious modulators. We were bringing in 3-dimensional things. At some point, I will write a book, but my stuff is so technical with stuff and like a
Yeah,
Da Vinci type thing.
you're more of an engineer, Starfleet commander. I'm more of an abstract, you know.
Well, you're a conscious engineer. You use the conscious words to reactivate consciousness. So the engineering is in the syntax, So
Yeah, I'm more about knowledge and information, but you're more like hands-on and stuff. Even though,
I'm the 3D. I make the 3D things. I can build a tower that can change to weather formations, influence HARP. Harmonize the weather, chemtrail deactivation, things like that. So I'm past orgone. I'm actually in the photon and intrascalar, which is intracellular communication, to reestablish the correct communication within this entire organistic self-aligning system, so as we do it right, because it says in the ancient books, you make the right choice, you get magic, as in CDs, you get releases. You have another super chat?
I do, and just to let Shanti know, I will not be attending the Mount Shasta conference this year at all, and I will be actually in San Diego in 2 months at the Starseed conference. I'm sorry, Starseed conference on the 7th of July. I will be giving more details about that and the links for those that want to come see me. I'm only going to be speaking for like 45 minutes. It's okay. It's one stage. It's going to be shared by several Starseed ambassadors and emissaries. I don't know, Arcturus, are you going to be attending that one?
Well, I'm waiting for information on that, and if I
Okay.
will announce that on my channel, I allow the flow to let that be known. I told the people that have contacted me to no pressure. If that's too short notice, I do it next year. So I don't have a confirmation yet. I'd love to, give a speech and show up if that is wanted. And but interestingly, that you also not in Shasta. Like I get alignments of where to be, and then I get a protocol, and then I go there where I'm supposed to be. So this year is like a little less vending and more internal networking. The year of the dragon is what I'm learning right now is resourcefulness and internal networking. And then next year I'm going back out more. See, you are more on tour right now. That's your call. Where we all have like assignments that come in where they tell us, where my counsel says, okay, it is advised for you to you do a little bit. So see, I visit Germany and do a little bit of family route and internal networking, looking at my old life system where I came from, how I then moved back to the States, and then recalibrate and karmically restructure myself, which is actually wondrous things are taking place here, which I've never believed it can go this deep, as in making sure that you're recalibrated in a divine way to carry more energy and hold more light. And as the more you clarify in yourself, the more light you hold. And it's evident for the light that you hold. You see that when babies smile, people heal, things work around you, animals come, you know that your light frequency is going up. That's when sometimes people don't ask, how do I know my vibratory frequency is up? When things around you really fall into place and work with ease without really having to manipulate the situation to make stuff work for you. That shows you at what level of frequency you are actually in.
All right, I just wanted to address and acknowledge David Essington for his super chat.
She says, I can share the EBS in days, not weeks. The last will not go to alternative 3D planets in body form. They will pass. Soul Fractal will reincarnate. The 144,000 will get divine medbeds. New Jerusalem, same time EBS.
Okay.
Right?
It's a part of a parallel position that is possible. And again, like what you call medbeds, I have already built one. Make sure you don't watch photoshopped images. I have people that have given testimonials. It's called the Cellwell experience. It's happening in 3D, and I've made it physical. So I heard, again, I'm not naming names for people that claim they've seen medbeds on the moon. To me, this is all cockamamie. The military will never roll out anything of that nature anytime soon. These are theoretical concepts, and I've been hearing this for 30 years. Look at the people that put three-dimensional objects in space, in place, in your timeline, that get you better and help you. And that should be the orientation and not the narrative on stage that the hustler needs to will you in to give you a storyline because he needs your energy, but he doesn't have anything manifest. Again, if its meaning doesn't manifest, put it to rest. Look at what is put into form, what is put in place and will take place for you to experience. And that's reality.
Thank you, brother, for sharing that with us.
Mhm.
You made your own medbed. How long has that been? How long have you had your own medbed for?
Now 4 years now. Like it took me a year to channel the prototype. Like I had to channel together technology that I had, like Earth technology that I knew was here, but it wasn't combined. Like a magnet, a crystal, orgone plates, like certain things, Tesla, photonic energy, organic energy, things in modulations that haven't been built. And I'm like, okay, this is here, Tesla's here, Rife is here, all of these scientists. Now let's put them together on the table and build one device through me, implementing all the technologies combined that weren't here before. So I combine tachyon, negative ion, orgone, photon, scalar, intrascalar, higher dimensional properties, magnetic axial tonal alignment, what people don't even know, and grounding to get people in gear and organized and getting better. And there's more coming. It's pretty amazing so far. So, and it's built. I mean, when I was in LA, I think in LA we haven't met not yet at that point. But when I had my bed up there, I had to close my booth 11 at night and beat people out of the booth. They couldn't believe it is here in physical form. I had lines like a block long laying down and experiencing. I had kids come, I had animals that wouldn't leave the thing, and we filmed it. And interestingly, even though I filmed it, people were like, "This is fake. This is photoshopped." I mean, this is when people go too it's so much into conspiracy that you can't be real. It's also funny when I put it in place. I put it up. It's in 3D. It's there. It's filmed. It's on display. I show the plant growth. I show development. I let people, talk about experiences. It's real, it's manifest, and that's where we should go, where the things work. Go to the gardens where the fruits grow, people eat, and the folks are happy. That's the orientation.
Beautiful, beautiful. Besides the medbed that you developed,
Hmm.
any other technologies that you have been working on that you
Yeah,
have?
so what I showed was the contact beacon, where I looked at Patrick Flanagan,
Mhm.
I looked at Nassim Haramein, I looked at the contact crystal of Bashar, and I looked at the Paradigm, the Andromedan oscillator. That at Mount Shasta they were selling those. And I was like, I want all four of those capacity and then some combined into one thing for contact, crystalline and healing and magnetic and grounding and elevating all in one. And I want it in gold. And then I built that device that I showed you. I show it again. It's going to be called the Shem-An.
Mhm.
I'm in the assembly phase, so that's why it's not listed yet. So my store is on vacation while I'm here, and this is going to be out. So um, I worked on, how do you say, manifestation bracelets.
Mhm.
You know, to create your manifest, where I have basically engraved a regulator, which is how do you say? It's the brain, the heart, the gut put in one line to have them communicating in a divine order that you manifest correctly.
Mhm.
I have created Ormus, which is called Galactivate, which is to get the energy levels and the monoatomic structures in your body right. And everything that's listed in my store, once it's back up, you look at the listings, everything is described on my website, ra-key.com. Also, the science of my bioresonance is, how do you say, is explained. I have brass pendants, I have gold plated brass, because brass is a very good transmitter for photonic array. I have many, many other things that are about to come. I have Atlantean memory pendants that are also in the assembly process. They were like recently sold out. And yeah, it's mostly limited edition. I'm working on water activators, and one where I'm testing right now, where basically you attach it to the water system coming to your house, and the calcium that comes, to where people have a lot of calcification in their house. Well, the calcification gets split into little particles where this doesn't occur anymore, and the energy spectrum in the house, in the water household in your house, is actually upped through the showers and everything. So everything that I work with is bioresonance, conscious expansion, and getting you into higher activation protocols with what I do. I have a product that's called Inner Chi, that is the iron fluorine. That is where you want natural iron in your blood for good oxygen transport. So everything overall, I'm and really effectively looking at things that have worked for people that get things better in order in organs and communication in the internal body better working, because my main download is that this has to be fixed in order to activate magic, contact, and all that stuff to hold more light. This has to be prepared in full. While a lot of people want to go crystalline, I'm like, okay, that's all nice to go all out, but you also have to have a grounding aspect of bringing the spirit into the body, experiencing here, and bringing that galactic information here. That's how when you do write your book, you're grounding in the downloads into physical form, into matter,
Mhm.
to anchor it in, to make it a reality that people can actually participate. So that's in the rough of what I do. And yeah, watch my channel. The videos and seminars are for free, and learn all the things that are out there that I offer. What I do, how to activate, how to biohack, to really bring expansion to you, so it makes sense in your life. Yeah.
Great, awesome. And I will be putting all his links for everybody to watch on the replay. In the description, you'll have access to his YouTube channel, his website, and his store, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Currently on vacation. But I do have one final question, brother. Um, this question is like, how do you envision the role of collective belief and feeling in shaping our world in its future?
Yeah, basically everything that I've said until up to now.
Mhm.
That's the job that Ishmael is doing, and many others, Elizabeth April, Leo King, Johnny Enoch, Bashar, many others are helping in a real way to shape this earth into this ascension process, and doing a great job. That's when I love those events when we get together. It's it's kind of like I'm very happy when I see everybody, have their little things. Ishmael has his books. We walk to the stage, we get ready, we do our job. Everybody's in gear. This is my super movie. That is my excitement. That I really love that we're doing that. That this is really real, and people come, and they delegates get their passes. People have their little ET stickers. People are really into something,
Yeah.
and it is of interest. And I say it has to be further than, I don't know, some mumbling rap star that has 300 million views for superficial popularity. We're about the cosmic talent and the realness of things, which brings me to the point where I'm really very hard try to inspire myself to bring a galactic rap album back, because I used to be a rap entertainer, but I was like rap galactic, and interdimensional opening stargates, interdimensional locksmith unlocks glyphs, swift and move to the parameters and patterns of time and space, past the vase, animating and elevating planets. Like I was going into it, and I want to bring it back because I was so disappointed with the popularity of the commerciality of where rap went, where I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of not so much inspired to do it, but I feel inspired to go back to it, actually, to turn that system back on and do something for enlightenment in rap form, you know.
Absolutely. So that's great. Brother, thank you so much for being here. It was an honor to have my brother Arcturus Ra in the house. I value and I appreciate your knowledge and what you're doing for the collective as well. And don't forget to check out his website, his YouTube channel, his rap music, and he's just a man of many talents. I'm going to go ahead and put all your links in the description for those that want to connect with you. And with that in mind, guys, don't forget that Saturday I will be going live 3 hours early because I am going to be interviewing Tim Tactics, who was working for the German secret government in the Acknowledge projects. So he's going to be with us 3 hours earlier. And I do believe he's also based in Germany. But unlike Ra here, he's already in that time schedule where he's sleeping at this time. So I'm going to have to do that one a little bit earlier. But I'm so glad.
Yeah, but even if this is on camera, like connect me with my German fellow Tim Tactics. I was trying to reach him. You know, give him my contact and.
Oh, I will.
Tell him to give me a call, you know. But we speak the same language, so why not, you know?
You speak German too, huh?
Yeah, fluent. My mom is German, so I went to a German school system, so.
Okay.
Mein Deutsch ist perfekt.
Nice. I'm going to go ahead and let Tim know that you're trying to reach out to him and try to connect you guys back up, since it is a small world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, may the God Force be with you all, and we will see you guys Saturday night. Oh, and don't forget to tune in Friday night for an uncensored live on my Rumble channel. The link is in my website, www.ourcosmicorigin.com. That is in 2 nights, guys. So I'm going to be going live uncensored at Rumble at 6 o'clock Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern. And then on Saturday, just this Saturday, I'm going to make an exception for our brother Tim Tactics at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. That is 6 o'clock Eastern time. We will see you guys then. Have a good night.